Hey everyone, and welcome back. We've reached the finale of our MCP masterclass, and today we are going from theory straight into practice. We're going to connect an AI directly to a live database. This is probably the most powerful use case for the Model Context Protocol, unlocking the data inside your systems with nothing but plain English. Okay, let's get into it.
Just imagine typing that, just a simple sentence, into your AI assistant and getting an instant, accurate answer pulled directly from your database. And I'm not talking about some mock-up here. This isn't a fantasy. This is the real deal. It's the power you unlock when you finally bridge that gap between language models and your structured data. And it's exactly what we're going to build right now.
So here's the bottom line. By the end of this explainer, you are going to have Claude connected directly to a Postgres database, ready to answer your questions. And the best part? You don't need to be some SQL wizard. You just need to know what you want to ask. The Model Context Protocol, MCP, does all the heavy lifting, all the translation for you.
So, how does all this magic actually work? Well, it's all thanks to MCP. You can think of it as a universal translator and a super secure gateway, all rolled into one. It's the open standard that lets your AI safely talk to things out in the world, like our Postgres database, without you having to build these fragile, one-off integrations. It is the foundation for everything we're about to do.
All right, time to get our hands dirty. Now, connecting the server is surprisingly simple. There are really two main ways to get this up and running, and we're going to walk through both. One involves a quick little file edit, and the other is just a single line in your terminal. Let's see how they work.
So on the left, if you're the kind of person who likes to see the configuration laid out, you can pop open the Claude desktop-config.json file and just add a new entry for your Postgres server. But on the right, and honestly this is my go-to for speed, is using the Claude Code CLI. It's one command, and it does all the configuration for you. Both get you to the exact same place, but the CLI is just, well, it's just faster.
Let's just quickly break this command down, because it's really logical when you see it. First up, Claude mac add Postgres. That just tells the CLI, hey, I'm adding a server, and I'm going to call it Postgres. The double dash is just a separator. Then, you point it to the actual server package using npx. And finally, you give it your database connection string. Now, you'll see we're using an admin user here for the demo, but hang on, because we're going to talk in a minute about why you absolutely must use a read-only user in production. After that, just restart Claude and you're in.
And just like that, the setup is done. Seriously. Now for the really fun part. We are going to start having a conversation with our e-commerce database. No more fighting with SQL syntax, no more looking up commands. We just start asking questions.
So where do you even begin? Well, the first thing you'll probably want to do is just get the lay of the land, right? A super simple question like, what tables are in this database, is the perfect way to start. You're not even asking for data yet. You're just asking about the database's structure, its schema. And boom, just like that, Claude goes, queries the database's metadata, and comes back with a nice, clean table of all the table names. We can see we've got customers, orders, products. Okay, cool. Now we know what we're working with. And from here, you can just keep digging deeper. You could ask, show me the columns in the customers table, and continue exploring your entire database just by talking to it. Okay, let's level up. This is a real business question. And notice, it's not just about fetching data, it requires some serious calculation. To answer this, the AI has to look at all the orders, group them by customer, add up the values, and then sort everything to find the top 10. You know, that's actually a pretty non-trivial SQL query.
And this slide right here, this is what it's all about. You asked in plain English, and behind the scenes, Claude generated a complex SQL query with some group by and order by clauses to spit out this simple, elegant table. You got the answer you needed instantly, without writing a single line of SQL. That's the power of this.
Here's another one you might ask all the time. We want to know which product categories are really driving the most value for each order. This needs aggregation, right? It needs an average function and a group by clause. You could also ask something like, show me all orders from last month that were over $1,000. And what's really cool is that the AI is often smart enough to pick the best way to show you the data. For a comparison like this, a bar chart is so much more intuitive than a plain old table. So it runs the query, gets the data, and then presents it back in a way that makes the insights just pop. You can see at a glance how your different categories are performing. So we know it handles basic and intermediate queries, no problem. But what about the really complex stuff? And maybe even more important, how do we make sure that this incredibly powerful connection is also incredibly secure? Let's tackle those two critical points next. Now this question sounds simple enough, right? But if you've ever written SQL, you know this is a classic challenge.
To get this answer, you have to combine data from the customers table and the orders table. That requires a join, and often a pretty tricky subquery or a window function just to find the single most recent date for each customer.
And again, here's the best part. You don't need to worry about any of that. The AI, with the help of the MCP server, it understands the relationships between your tables. It looks at the schema, it figures out the necessary joins, and it builds the correct query to get you the answer. It handles all that complexity so you can just focus on the question.
Okay, I need you to listen to this part very carefully, because this is absolutely crucial. You should never, ever connect an AI to your database with admin rights. The principle of least privilege is everything here. You need to create a dedicated read-only user. The command's simple: create user AI reader. Then, you only grant it the permission it needs. Grant select. That's it. This ensures the AI can answer questions but can never, ever change or delete your precious data.
So we've seen the how, but let's just pull back for a second and think about the why. Because this technology isn't just a cool party trick. It represents a really fundamental shift in how we interact with information.
Now really, just take a moment and think about it. What are the questions you or your team ask every single day? What are those ad hoc report requests that constantly pull you out of deep work? How much time is spent just waiting for someone on the data team to pull a simple number for you?
We're talking about turning hours of work into seconds of conversation. Instead of filing a ticket, your product manager can just ask, hey, which products are running low on stock, or are any orders stuck in processing? When your CEO needs those Q4 numbers for California, you can have an answer in 30 seconds, not 30 minutes. This is what it means to democratize data. You're empowering everyone to get the insights they need right when they need them.
And with that, our MCP masterclass is complete. We've covered the whole journey, from what MCP even is, to its architecture, to installing servers, building our own custom servers, and finally, this, direct database integration. You now have an incredibly powerful new tool in your toolkit. And this is really just the beginning. You can go explore other MCP servers for tools like GitHub, Slack, Notion. You can even build your own. The thing is, your data has always had the answers. They've just been locked away behind the barrier of a query language. With MCP, that barrier is gone. All you need to bring now are the right